quote by John Muir: "Everybody needs beauty as well as bread, places to play in and pray in, where nature can heal, give strength to the body as well as the soul." John Muir was an accomplished hiker and poet. The Pacific Crest Trail, commonly known as the PCT, is a 2,600-mile trail that goes from Mexico to Canada. Every year, hundreds of thousands of hikers hike sections of this trail. But some truly adventurous people attempt a through hike. A through hike means that you hike all 2,600 miles in one season, which is typically 5 months. Popularity is booming, with through hike permit sales tripling from 1,800 in 2013 to 5,600 in 2016, according to PCTA.org. Attempting a through hike would be a fantastic physical and mental challenge and would take you to see some of America's greatest sights. But before attempting such a thing, you'd need to plan in advance. You need to research the terrain, climate, and weather conditions. You need to buy some gear, and you need to plan your route and resupply. Next slide. The PCT covers a wide variety of terrain and climates. You start in Campo, California, where according to usclimatedata.com, temperatures in the summer average between mid to upper 90s, and precipitation plummets to less than an inch per month. The first 700 miles across the Mojave Desert Basin. Many hikers choose to hike at night. Also, water is very scarce in this area. So because of this, most hikers choose to leave in early to mid-April. After you finish crossing the desert, you move into the San Bernardino National Forest and then head north to the Sierra Nevada Mountains, which are home to the highest peaks in the continental United States. At this point, nights become cold and rain can come from out of nowhere, even beneath you. As you move through Mount Rainier and Mount Hood, and you finish at Manning, British Columbia, Canada. To get there before winter sets in, hikers need to average at least 17 miles every day. Aside from the normal terrain and climate features that you're going to encounter on the trail, you also have to be aware of trail closures due to wildfires and flooding. Research this in advance, but also be aware that over the course of 5 months, wildfires and other closures can happen. So never attempt something that doesn't look passable. Next slide. Next, you're going to need some gear. The key thing to remember about your gear is that you want it to be as lightweight as possible while still being durable enough to endure the 5-month trip. The 3 basic systems that your gear break into are your pack system, which needs to have a sturdy hip belt and some sort of frame to distribute the weight across your back. You also want to be careful not to get a pack that's too big. This will allow your items to shift and weight to settle, causing back pain. A lot of hikers that I talk to suggest that you buy your backpack last, which I know sounds crazy. The next thing you need to look into is a sleep system. There's a lot of debate about sleep systems. Experienced hikers prefer a tarp and hammock because it significantly saves weight. However, they're complicated to set up and require terrain features to hang a hammock on. Others prefer tents and sleeping bags for their all-weather versatility and ease of use. Either way, be familiar with the product that you own and how to set it up. Last, you'll need a way to purify water and cook food. Purifying water can be chemical tablets like iodine, or filters, or boiling. As far as cooking, some hikers choose to only carry food that they don't need to cook, like beef jerky or peanut butter crackers. Others prefer a hot meal after a long hike on a cold day. And there's any number of very lightweight gas and alcohol stoves on the market. So again, play around, find what works for you. The last thing you need to do is plan your route. The trail is very well, next slide, sorry. The trail itself is very well marked, but before you leave, you need to download maps and get trail guides. One of the reasons for this is water. You're not going to be able to come off trail to get water, so you need to identify ahead of time creeks, springs, rivers, and lakes. And advice from hikers is never pass those up, even if it's just to top off your water, because the next one might be dried out. The second thing is food. At best, you're only going to be able to carry about 30 days of food in your pack at any time. So you need to pre-plan towns along the way where you can stop, get food, and come back to the trail quickly. There's also several forums and websites that'll give you an address where you can pre-mail care packages to yourself. The last thing you need to do is plan recovery stops. Stay in a hotel, eat at a restaurant, socialize with people. A lot of hikers include what they call 0 days, where they don't hike at all, just to let their body and mind recover. I think that kind of stop will be the difference between success and failure at an attempt at a through hike. So, if you should decide to take on, next slide. So if you should decide to take on a challenge, a physical and mental challenge like a through hike of the PCT, I think as long as you plan your route and resupply, buy the right gear, and you're fully aware of the weather and climate and terrain conditions you're going to face, you should be successful. So be safe and get outside.